I'm pretty sure the right microphone is set. I think it is, at least. Oh, yes, that's the one. Hello, dear friends, and welcome to Story Time. Shall I set the mood? Oh my! It's now dark and scary in this room, and I'm afraid no one can see me. Whatever shall I do? Perhaps if only I had some candles I could light, it could make it so much less scary, right? Isn't that the way it works? I think that's the way it works. But, alas, wherever is my lighter? And wherever are my candles? Oh, I think perhaps I found one. Nope, that was just something I knocked over. Oh, there is a candle. There's a candle indeed, but next I need to find my other candle and my lighter. Oh my. This is so scary. I feel like I should add some mood music. What do you think? Should I darken it up a little? Now it's really dark in here. Hello, Mum, I see you there. Huzzah! And hello, Amber. Huzzah to you as well. It's all right if you fall asleep. I won't blame you. I know you're tired with your new schedule. There it is. Well, that's one candle lit. Not very well, but it is lit. It's because the wick, it's in the wax, so I must free it. There we are. Now there's some light. I do have a bit of a fire-breathing dragon here. See? And now we light the other candle. Two candles in the wind. Wow! That one is magnificent. It's just burning like nobody's tomorrow. Sorry, like no tomorrow would be the terminology, not nobody's tomorrow. Alas, tonight we resume with Goosebumps. So I suppose I should get started. But first, just a few notes. Feel free to find me on Facebook, Brett Picorni, not too hard to find. There's the group Storytime, 2 words, exclamation point at the end. Then, find me on YouTube as well, B Picorni 1. Like this video, subscribe to my page, that was a hiccup, and don't forget to share it with your friends. Then, last but not least, is Twitch. Brett Doesn't Game, all one word. Brett Doesn't Game. Easy as that. 2 T's in Brett, by the way. Real quick, a birthday shout out to my mother. Still, although we're past midnight, it still counts, I think, because we have not yet gone to bed. So, another happy birthday to you before the night is through. And with that, I'm going to turn the computer light up a little bit, so it's not going to be as scary as usual, but I will have a little more light with which to read the book. It can be a bit of a bastard to read in the dark, so yeah, I'm going to take off these glasses because looking my head downward just makes this really difficult, and I can see well enough to read, so there we are. Time for tonight's story. We are continuing with Goosebumps, The Haunted Mask, or Mask. And yes, you're welcome, Mom, for the dinner and all that. I prepared a lovely dinner this evening. Alfredo on pasta with chicken and roasted squash and zucchini. It was delicious. I make an excellent Alfredo sauce, if I do say so myself. Which my Alfredo sauce base also makes an excellent base for biscuits and gravy. Super good. Anyway, shall we? Woot, woot indeed, Amber. Woot, woot indeed. A great what? Do tell. Anyway, starting on chapter 2. Oh, goosebumps. That makes sense. Autocorrect is weird sometimes, isn't it? So here we are, chapter 2. Yeah, this is pretty much the premier Goosebumps, the one that everyone loves the most. If anyone thinks Goosebumps, they think Haunted Mask. Real quick, I'm going to switch out these candles. The other one's a little more wild, a little more life in it. It's going to provide a little more light here. There we are. And put the other one over here. Not to say the other one's not doing a good job, but this one's really flame on, you know. So you can see the difference, can't you? All right, here we go, chapter 2. She heard laughter at another table. Someone yelled, "Way to go, Steve!" She whipped her head around to see her friend, Steve Boswell, standing behind her, a mischievous grin on his face. "Gotcha," he said, letting go of her shoulder. Steve pulled out the chair next to Carly Beth's and lowered himself over its back. His best friend, Chuck Green, slammed his book onto the table and then sat down next to Sabrina. Steve and Chuck looked so much alike they could have been brothers, but both were tall and thin, with straight brown hair, which they usually hid under baseball caps. Both had dark brown eyes and goofy grins. Both wore faded blue jeans and dark-colored long-sleeve t-shirts. And both of them loved to scare Carly Beth. They loved to startle her, to make her jump and shriek. It's kind of an asinine move. Oh well. They spent hours dreaming up new ways to frighten her. Wow, they had no life, did they? She vowed every time that she would never, never fall for one of their stupid tricks again. But so far, they had won every time. Carly Beth always threatened to pay them back, but in all the time they'd been friends, she hadn't been able to think of anything good enough. Chuck reached for the few remaining chips in Sabrina's bag. She playfully slapped his hand. Away. Get your own. Steve held a crinkled hunk of aluminum foil under Carly Beth's nose. Want a sandwich? I don't want it. Carly Beth sniffed it suspiciously. What kind is it? I'm starving. It's a turkey sandwich. Here, Steve said, handing it to Carly Beth. It's too dry. My mom forgot the mayo. You want it? Yeah, sure, thanks, Carly Beth exclaimed. She took the sandwich from him and peeled back the aluminum foil. Then she took a big bite of the sandwich, and she started to chew. She realized that both Steve and Chuck were staring at her with big grins on their faces. Something tasted funny, kind of sticky and sour. Carly Beth stopped chewing. Chuck and Steve, those assholes, pardon my French, were laughing now. Sabrina looked confused. Carly Beth uttered a disgusting groan and spit the chewed-up sandwich chunk into a napkin. Then she pulled the bread apart and saw a big brown worm resting on top of the turkey. Ugh! With a moan, she covered her face with her hands. The room erupted with laughter. Cruel laughter. I ate a worm. I'm going to be sick, Carly Beth groaned. She jumped to her feet and stared angrily at Steve. How could you? She demanded. It isn't funny. It isn't a real worm, Chuck said. Steve was laughing too hard to talk. Huh? Carly Beth gazed down at it and felt a wave of nausea rip up from her stomach. It isn't real. It's rubber. Pick it up, Chuck urged. Carly Beth hesitated. Kids all through the vast room were whispering and pointing at her and laughing. Go ahead, it isn't real. Pick it up, Chuck said, grinning. Carly Beth reached down with 2 fingers and reluctantly picked the brown worm from the sandwich. It felt warm and sticky. Gotcha again, Chuck said with a laugh. It was real. A real worm. With a horrified cry, Carly Beth tossed the worm at Chuck, who was laughing wildly. Then she leapt away from the table, knocking the chair over. As the chair clattered noisily against the hard floor, Carly Beth covered her mouth and ran gagging from the lunchroom. I can still taste it, she thought. I can still taste the worm in my mouth. I'll pay them back for this, Carly Beth thought, bitterly as she ran. I'll pay them back, I really will. As she pushed through the double doors and hurtled toward the girls' room, the cruel laughter followed her across the hall. I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to turn this evil music up a little bit, just a tad. After school, Carly Beth hurried through the halls without talking to anyone. She heard kids laughing and whispering. She knew they were laughing at her. Words had spread all over school that Carly Beth Caldwell had eaten a worm for lunch. Carly Beth, the scaredy cat. Carly Beth, who was frightened of her own shadow. Carly Beth, who was so easy to trick. Chuck and Steve had sneaked a real worm, a fat brown worm, into a sandwich, and Carly Beth had taken a big bite. What a jerk! Carly Beth ran all the way home, 3 long blocks. Her anger grew with every step. How could they do that to me? They're supposed to be my friends. Why do they think it's so funny to scare me? She burst into the house, breathing hard. Anybody home? She called, stopping in the hallway. Come on, Paige, you can turn. Just 1, not 2. Stopping in the hallway and leaning against the banister to catch her breath. Her mother hurried out from the kitchen. Carly Beth, hi, what's wrong? I ran all the way, Carly Beth told her, pulling off her blue windbreaker. Why? Mrs. Caldwell asked. Just felt like it, Carly Beth replied moodily. Her mother took Carly Beth's windbreaker and hung it in the front closet for her. Then she brushed her hand affectionately through Carly Beth's soft brown hair. Where do you get the straight hair? She muttered. Her mother was always saying that. We don't look like mother and daughter at all, Carly Beth realized. Her mother was a tall, chubby woman with thick curls of coppery hair and lively grey-green eyes. She was extremely energetic, seldom stood still, and talked as rapidly as she moved. That's not Carly Beth at all, is it? Today she was wearing a paint-stained grey sweatshirt over black lycra tights. Why so grumpy? Mrs. Caldwell asked. Anything you'd care to talk about? Carly Beth shook her head. Not really. She didn't feel like telling her mother that she had become the laughingstock of Walnut Avenue Middle School. Come here, I have something to show you, Mrs. Caldwell said, tugging Carly Beth toward the living room. I'm really not in the mood, Mum, Carly Beth told her, hanging back. Come on, her mother insisted, and pulled her across the hallway. Carly Beth always found it impossible to argue with her mother. She was like a hurricane, sweeping everything in her direction. Look, Mrs. Caldwell declared, grinning and gesturing to the mantelpiece. Carly Beth followed her mother's gaze to the mantel and cried out in surprise. It's a head. Not just any head, Mrs. Caldwell said, beaming. Go on, take a closer look. Carly Beth took a few steps toward the mantelpiece, her eyes on the head staring back at her. It took her a few moments to recognize the straight brown hair, the brown eyes, the short snip of a nose, the round cheeks. It's me, she cried, walking up to it. Yes, life-size, Mrs. Caldwell declared. I just came from my art class at the museum. I finished it today. What do you think? Carly Beth picked it up and studied it closely. It looks just like me, Mom, really. What's it made of? Plaster of Paris, her mother replied. Oh, dear, if plaster of Paris looks just like you, your complexion must be awful. Taking it from Carly Beth and holding it up so that Carly Beth was face to face, eye to eye with herself. You have to be careful, it's delicate. It's hollow, see? Carly Beth stared intently at the head, peering into her own eyes. It's kind of creepy, she muttered. You mean because I did such a good job, her mother demanded. It's just creepy, that's all, Carly Beth said. She forced herself to look away from the replica of herself and saw that her mother's smile had faded. Mrs. Caldwell looked hurt. Don't you like it? Well, yeah, sure, it's really good, Mum, Carly Beth answered quickly, but I mean, why on earth did you make it? Because I love you, Mrs. Caldwell replied curtly. Why else? Honestly, Carly Beth, you have the strangest reactions to things. I worked really hard on this sculpture. I thought, I'm sorry, Mum, I like it, really I do, Carly Beth insisted. It was just a surprise, that's all. It's great. It looks just like me. I had a bad day, that's all. Carly Beth took another long look at the sculpture. Its brown eyes, her brown eyes, stared back at her. The brown hair shimmered in the afternoon sunlight through the window. It smiled at me, Carly Beth thought, her mouth dropping open. I saw it. I just saw it smile. No, it had to be a trick of the light, like the light that's flickering here. It was a plaster of Paris' head, she reminded herself. Don't go scaring yourself over nothing, Carly Beth. Haven't you made a big enough fool of yourself today? Thanks for showing it to me, Mum, she said awkwardly, pulling her eyes away. She forced a smile. 2 heads are better than 1, right? Right, Mrs. Corbell agreed brightly. Incidentally, Carly Beth, your duck costume is all ready. I put it on your bed. Huh? Duck costume? You saw a duck costume at the mall, remember? Mrs. Corbell carefully placed the sculpted head on the mantel. The one with all the feathers and everything. You thought it would be funny to be a duck this Halloween, so I made you a duck costume. Oh, right, Carly Beth said, her mind spinning. Do I really want to be a stupid duck this Halloween? She thought. I'll go up and take a look at it, Mom, thanks. Carly Beth, you better. She worked hard on that thing, I bet. Carly Beth had forgotten all about the duck costume. I don't want to be cute this Halloween, she thought as she climbed the stairs to her room. I want to be scary. She had seen some really scary-looking masks in the window of a new party store that had opened a few blocks from school. One of them, she knew, would be perfect. But now she'd have to walk around in feathers and have everyone quack at her and make fun of her. It wasn't fair. Why did her mother have to listen to every word she said? Just because Carly Beth had admired a duck costume in a store didn't mean she wanted to be a stupid duck for Halloween. Stupid duck. Halloween. Carly Beth hesitated outside her bedroom. The door had been pulled closed for some reason. She never closed the door. She listened carefully. She thought she heard someone breathing on the other side of the door. Someone or something. The breathing grew louder. Carly Beth pressed her ear to the door. What was in her room? There was only one way to find out. Carly Beth pulled open the door and uttered a startled cry. How long is chapter 4? Do I want to? I'll save that for next time. Nice little cliffhanger there. Well, I hope you enjoyed that tidbit. Those 2 chapters of Goosebumps. Because that's all I'm reading of Goosebumps tonight, and we will resume that on Tuesday next week. However, I did mention in the description that I might sing a bit of a song for you. Unfortunately, I don't even remember how it goes, so I'm going to give it a little listen. I'm going to do it quietly so you can't hear it, though, only me, because I want to sing it to you. Okay, so a little song for you. This is brand new, don't even have guitar parts or piano or anything like that, okay? Ah, yes, that's how it goes. I promise it will be momentarily, very soon. All right. Yes, Amber, I am singing tonight. A cappella, because I don't have guitar parts for it. So, here we go. I'm going to sing this. It's brand new. I just started on it tonight, and I want to know what you all think of it. Okay, ready? Here we go. I just thought that you should know that truly I'm in love with you, though awfully soon. I plead that you listen closely to the beating of a heart that's just repeating notes for you. It flows for you. Time is a mystery, and given my history of on the mend, how can I trust myself? Show me another way to love. brighter than light of day. You're too much, I can't contain myself. And that is all I have so far. And I see a comment from Rose Brown. First time watching / listening. Hello, friend. Huzzah! Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm glad you're here. Don't forget to like this video. Hit subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And make sure you share it with your friends. So please do that. I'm glad to have you here. And I look forward to having you here for more future videos. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that little bit of a song, and I hope that you enjoyed the story tonight. Unfortunately, Rose, I hope you've been watching because we are wrapping up right now. That was the end of it because I already, I read the 2 chapters of Goosebumps for tonight, but tomorrow I will be resuming. Should be about 10 p.m. It could be later, though. In fact, it probably will be. I do have a few plans in the evening. Oh, excuse the hiccups, in the evening. But anyway, tomorrow night I will be resuming Bram Stoker's Dracula from chapter 21. Yes, 21. That's what I will be resuming it. So anyway, I appreciate all of you. Much love and appreciation to all of you for joining, especially you, Rose, for you being here for the first time. That's so cool, so awesome, and I really do appreciate you being here. Also to you, Mum, for being a faithful watcher as well, and my original fan. And of course, it is your birthday today, so happy birthday once more before the evening's over. And yes, appreciation to you as well, Amber. Good night to you as well. Yes, you will catch me tomorrow. Anyway, everyone, Brett Picorni on Facebook, easy to find. Storytime, 2 words, ! That is the name of the group on Facebook. And that is where I usually give my updates. YouTube, bpicorni1. Make sure you hit subscribe. And make sure you hit like on this video as well. Comment as much as you like. The comments definitely help me out, especially if they're positive. And please, please, please share this with your friends so they too can get addicted to stories before bed. Know what I mean? And finally, if you would like to follow me on Twitch, you can do so at Brett Doesn't Game. All one word, no apostrophes or punctuation or spaces of any sort. Anyway, thank you once again, everyone, for being here. Until next time, I bid you adieu. That's all there is for the night. So there's one candle. I did not splash myself with wax. Let's see if I can continue that pattern with the second. I did it. But alas, my computer light is up a little higher than usual, so you can still see me. Blast. Let me fix that problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I believe I'm now invisible. Let's make it 7, 8 to be safe. Good night. Good night. I bid you good night.